From sassy fashion truths to sultry book recs, today's guest is bringing the curves, the charisma, and the closet of your dreams. We're joined by Denee, the one and only Curvy Fashionista, to chat about fat fashion, fabulous finds, and the journey from blog to media empire. Grab your glitter, fluff that werewolf fur, and get comfy. This episode's got style, sass, and just the right amount of smutty spice.
Hi, welcome to Big Sexy Chat. I'm Crystal.
I'm Murph.
We're just two rad fatties sitting around,
Chewing the fat.
Twice a month we'll be chatting about current events,
Hot topics.
sex toys, fat politics, fat community, cannabis, CBD, you name it, we're going to talk about it. We are very excited to have you a part of our community. Welcome and enjoy. Hey everybody, welcome back to Big Sexy Chat. My name's Crystal and I'm here with my beautiful and amazing co-host, Murph. Hi, Murph.
Hi.
We also have a very special guest for all of you today. You're going to be just in love with this guest because she's so fabulous and funny. And are you from the Bay, Marie, originally?
No, I'm actually a military brat. So I am a SoCal girl. I am a Cali girl.
Yeah.
But I did live and start my business up in the Bay Area.
Okay, cool. So for those of you who don't know, we have Marie here today, Marie Denee of the Curvy Fashionista. In fact, I would say she is the Curvy Fashionista. Welcome, Marie.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a minute and I'm so glad to see your face.
I know, I miss your face. Love it. When did you start the Curvy Fashionista blog?
Okay, so we've gone through multiple different iterations right now. I started TCF in 2008, in December of 2008, because I had initially had started it before, but I published my first article in 2008 of December. And now TCF has evolved from a blog to a digital media platform, to a digital media publication. So we've kind of grown a bit over these past 16, almost 17 years.
Wow, that's great.
Wow, that's fantastic. I was going to say, I remember it from back in the day and it's only gotten better. So that's so cool. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I branch out in all kinds of ways. I was telling the girls last night, or I shared with them via email, that I found a Google alert that had a link to one of your newest articles about 5 romance writers that write romance articles about fat girls. You have all kinds of different stuff on your site now. It's so interesting. I love it.
Well, that was intentional, right? Because, I'm about to be 44 this year. And I had a moment where I was thinking to myself, I'm more than just clothes. There's more layers to a woman than just how she shows up. We have our hobbies. We love the things that we nerd out about. I love playing my word games. But also I love to read. I have an app on my phone and give me all of the werewolf romance books.
Yes.
I'm currently reading one right now. I need all the spiciness. If it doesn't give me spice, I'm irritated. And so for me, I thought about how does the Curvy Fashionista show up in everyday life? So for me, it was important. I kind of took a step back and thought, okay, there's wellness. I love to walk in the mornings. I haven't in a minute, but I did love that. Right. And then I think about, how does she date? I started dating recently. I was going on a mission. I was all on the apps. I'm no longer on them, but I was, and so I think about these things that are reflective in life. And it's hilarious because I still get emails from folks, from women who are I need to see stuff around someone who's over 40. And I'm that's me. We're talking about these things. And sometimes, and I think we have to kind of have that conversation where the perspective of what 40 looks like has changed, because she looks younger now. And I think we're thinking or expecting I don't know what we're expecting, but all I know is I'm all let's talk about it. So I've started introducing additional topics, lifestyle topics, and have different writers when they're in their lane to speak about some of these things, because it's important.
For sure. Yeah, whenever I think of someone who's 57, which is how old I am, I think of someone much, much older looking. And I mean, first of all, I feel like I'm 25 inside. So there's that. But
True.
I'm like, 57, I thought 57-year-olds had like gray hair and, wrinkly skin. And
The perspective versus.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
And definitely when I was a kid, I thought 50 was old.
Well, and I wonder how much of that is we grew up in the age where, the 50, 40-year-olds didn't talk about perimenopause and
No.
menopause and all those things. And so I think there was just kind of this sense of like, you go old, you don't talk about those, you don't say those things. And then we get to 40 and 50 and we're like, wait, what? This isn't old. This isn't the same thing. But nobody's talked about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, F all of you that didn't tell me all about perimenopause before I got into it, or menopause. Now I tell everybody. In fact, I'm starting my first progesterone pill tonight.
Well, good on you.
Yeah.
Now you got to keep us all
I will.
abreast on what to expect on the side effects.
What I need is less brain fog. Okay. I need to remember my words. Those are the two big things I want for my progesterone.
Absolutely. Well, and Marie, I just I loved that article because I have so many women in my lives that are plus size that identify as curvy, love we call it smut. But love the smut, and you don't have a lot of representation in those types of books. And so to branch out to show like that full self on your blog and through your digital platforms, I think that hits on so many different levels because we are multifaceted, but things haven't been made for us or haven't represented our stories. So I've already shared that with like a multitude of people.
When I do find a book in this app that I read, I appreciate this app because it has like a range of different types of authors who write different types of books. And they actually included an author who had two different series, like I think something about like F bomb seals love F bombs or F bombs love seals or something. It was like all the seal like major like buff like ex seals that love their curvy women. And I was like, oh, like what is this? And it was a series of like 6 books. And I was like, I love this. And then there was another book and it was by a completely different author, but it was another series. And it was about plus size women and like their identity with being plus and having relationships like, oh, this man couldn't really be into me. But then they have that one girlfriend, that one plus size girlfriend was like, why wouldn't they be into me? So it was just like such a great, to find that type of content. And even a book I read earlier today was like, this curvy, short, she's got more, she was nothing like a typical kind of werewolf girl. But like she had some of the physicalities I was like, oh, I can recognize. Now the only thing that I do find that runs really short is like the lack of diversity from skin tone, right? So it's always the white, blonde hair, blue eye. And whenever they go into those descriptions, I really scan really fast because I'm like, don't ruin my fantasy because I'm over here like I'm visualizing. And I think like that's where, there's so much more room for improvement, but still it's on one hand it's like, okay, curvy girl, and on the other hand it's like, okay, but I need a black curvy girl like
Thank
to
you.
like give me that kind of. So it's just interesting, and I find that the more I lean into my newfound hobbies, the more that it allows for me to open up the different levels or the different variations or verticals for TCF.
The Western beauty ideal is so over. I'm sorry. It's so boring. It's so everywhere. I want all of it. I don't just want to hear about blonde, blue. What do they call it? Like Coke bottle shaped curvy girls that are blonde hair and blue eyes. And they're all beautiful, but yeah, I want more. I live in a world that's very diverse. I need my characters to be diverse so I can actually feel like I'm really in the story.
Correct. I agree.
Do you read about the fairies and stuff? Do you like those kinds of books?
Sometimes
Yeah.
these wolf books, like, the alpha and the beta, and then there's like, the mate is like half hybrid. She's like half wolf, half fairy, half wolf, half witch. Or she doesn't know that she's like an uber special wolf. I'm so ingrained into this. It's like really freaking hilarious. Like I will sit and tell my mom give her the whole breakdown about a story, and she's just listening like, "Mhm." And I'm like, Mom, I know you don't care. So thank you for
Humoring you.
hearing me and making me feel like this story is everything.
I met you via Tigress, who comes up on almost every one of our episodes of our podcast. But, Tigress is really into the fairy and the fae, and she does a lot of cosplay with the fairies and stuff like that. Did you know that?
No, I actually have a tattoo of a fairy. I am
Oh,
very
cool.
much into fairies. I have been wrestling with wanting to get a new tattoo about like a phoenix rising from the ashes. And so I kind of want to akin it like I'm all, well, what if like the phoenix is more fairy like? In my head, that's like what I'm already thinking. Or I'm like, what can I do with the one tattoo I already have? Like, how can I make her a little bit more dope? Because I got her when I was 18. And like I said, I'm about to be 44. So it's like, on black skin, she needs a touch up. She needs a a zhuzh. So I don't know. For me it's I'm definitely fascinated with fairies, especially since learning about them through what's his name, William Shakespeare. And ever since that, I mean, I just love the whole storytelling. But like for me right now, it's just like in such transition and flux. Like I'm really excited about it. But I want to make sure, like, because it's a commitment when you do a tattoo.
You should see Murph's tattoo, her Disney tattoo.
Yeah, I have a giant Ursula that covers my left thigh.
I love it. I'm
Yeah.
already in love with it. I love it.
She's
Yes.
gorgeous. Yeah, and she's got flotsam and jetsam around her. It's really cute.
Oh, I love it. Look at you.
And Ashley and her husband both got new tattoos yesterday of Curvy girls.
Mhm.
They're
My
beautiful.
sister and her husband get like coordinating tattoos. And so I'm like, oh, I can't wait to be like married and swept up and in love. And so I can be like, hey, boo, let's go get some coordinating tattoos. Not matching, but coordinating. Like,
Absolutely.
there's a story behind it, right? Like,
Yeah.
I want those kind of things.
Marie, I see you and your future partner having coordinating outfits. Like if you're getting dressed up, you're gonna coordinate somehow or another. I have a feeling.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd want that because, like, I had an equal, and him and his wife would always match, like down to his. He would have a do rag on that would be like the matching color of his suit, and she would be like in the matching color of like all the things, and I'd just be like, okay, that's overkill. I don't know if so I find myself kind of like shying away from them. Like I would, yes, in a coordination, but very subtle.
But you have really great taste. I'm sure it would be wonderful. So tell us what inspired you to start the Curvy Fashionista? I know in the beginning it was more about fashion. I know you've definitely expanded your platform, but so you wanted to help people who are people of size learn about more fashion and style.
Well, keeping it 100, like I actually wanted to I wanted to open up a boutique. So I was in my MBA program while I was up in Oakland, and I had learned that blogs were at that time web logs. And I learned at that time that they were more of a marketing tool rather than a platform within and of itself. So for me, what I ended up doing was like, okay, well, this will be a tool to use while I open up my online boutique. And from there, whatever. And so when Man Plans, God laughs. And so I had launched in 2009 my online boutique. I called it Marie Denee. And but what I figured out from that is that like I was not superwoman. I could not do all the things. I could not run an online boutique and do the TCF. The Curvy Fashionista was taking off quicker than this online boutique was. And I was like, okay, it's time to close this and put all my resources into TCF. And so that's like literally all it took. Like, I just ended up, I only lasted like one season of the boutique and literally dove headfirst into being a resource, providing resources,
Yep.
shining light on these indie designers that I was finding, like
Yeah.
all the way in France and in Australia, and and bringing them to the forefront for plus size women to be able to shop contemporary fashion forward pieces, because at that time I had worked at Bloomingdale's, right? And so at the time I was working with all of these like high end designers, and I was like, where's the plus size equivalent of this? And when I would have plus size women come in, um, there were times where I had to send them over to Nordstrom's to shop Rachel Pally at the time, or I would have to redirect or give them resources that I found online through my site, right? And so it was such an interesting journey, and I realized, nothing happens by accident. So, like, I needed to go through, like, that kind of realization. I was in sales and then I was in management, and so, like, for me, it allowed for me to kind of fine-tune how I wanted to help the plus size consumer, how I wanted to be a resource. So, like, that's kind of what contributed to it all.
Good instincts though and also when you're a small business owner or indie business owner, you have to be able to move quickly and iterate and change whatever you got to do.
Yep.
That's so
So true.
awesome. So then did you start right away doing like the affiliates or did that come later?
It came later. Um, I smile because, like, it was a memory that you just completely unlocked for me. I'd gone to different, blogging conferences, and I remember the conversation around AdSense, like, that was a display ad option at that time, and I remember how it took me, like, a year to get, like, $100 via AdSense, and I was
Wow.
like, "Oh my god," like, "Okay, I know that there's something here. I know that there's something here," and I've been very, very, very fortunate and very blessed that, like, even though I had gone kind of, like, full time with this since 2009, like, that I ended up moving back home to Southern California in 2010 to move back home with my mom. I was there for maybe about a year, and then I got this gig with Chevy. Like, they found me on Twitter, girl. Old school Twitter, right? Where you could still where you would respond to people who had the eggs as their profile, like that
Yep.
kind of old
Yep.
school. And from there, then that kind of gave me like how do you say, a boost or the revenue for me. Like, I then moved in and I had a roommate. Um, And I just kind of started growing baby step from there. I didn't have a game plan. I didn't have a roadmap. I didn't have a blueprint. I didn't have goals set. I was just like, let's see what it goes. I have no idea. Do you? Like, nobody knew. And so from there it was just like a lot of trial and error.
So cool. Did
And
you go ahead? Sorry, Murph. Go ahead.
to be a resource for so many folks. I just remember trying to find things on the internet back in the day, and it wasn't like, okay, hey, let's, get all this information and keep it in one section for this niche group of people. It was just kind of like a smattering of stuff that you had to kind of go and look for. I remember your blog just being the first time where it was like, oh, it's all laid out right here. Like, it just made it so convenient for folks. Did you get that kind of feedback? Did that help refine, how you built the site?
Yes, and so it did, and it was, like, intentional, right? Because, like, in my head, I would go there was Lucky, right? And Lucky had all these different brands and all this different content, but there was nothing specific for the plus size consumer. And I was like, I want to, like, what was at that point, what was Monique C or Jabri or Crystal Frazier doing in the for plus size fashion? What were Lane Bryant, Torrid, Fashion Figure, Ashley Stewart. Like, what were they delivering to the consumer? I wanted to be able to bring an editorial eye, a contemporary eye to things. If I'm rounding up, at that point, there was Evans and Simply Be and Navabi, all these UK and international brands that were serving the plus size consumer. And I was like, well, let me let these girls know what's going on here. And so that became my jam. Like that's kind of what motivated me. And then from there, hearing the responses, hearing the feedback, it allowed for me to kind of continue to fine tune. That's why now when we do roundups, we always list size ranges. I purposely don't include pricing, but that's on purpose because I don't want people to negate the price for the options that exist.
Makes sense.
And then the discovery of a brand, I don't want someone to feel like to prohibit them from even exploring this brand because they know that it's, quote unquote expensive or out of their budget. It's about knowing what's available, what to aspire to, what to look, you know what I'm saying? Like just like how they have in straight sizes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm not going to spend $500 on a straight size dress. One, I can't fit it, but two, like I just don't want to spend $500 on a dress right now. But if I did, I'm going to watch the sale. I'm going to watch how to go on. Like, I'm going to learn what that store's or that brand's sales cycle is. So I know, okay, let me watch it.
Yep. Nowadays, you can just put stuff
sale?
in your cart and hold it into your cart until it goes on sale.
Right. And, nowadays, right? And so, but we talk about that. We talk about that process. We talk about like, if you dream about it, make it yours. It's certain things that like, I think at times as plus size women, we negate to consider or think about in terms of worth and value. We could spend easily that money on a handbag, on makeup, on skincare, on hair care. But when it comes to clothes, that same value of investing in what's good and investing in quality kind of is a disconnect because we haven't had a lot of options.
Nope.
Or the ability to test and feel and see them because we can see them online, but seeing them online versus understanding the hand, the touch. Oh, I can see why this costs, X, Y, and Z dollars.
Yep.
Or I can see why this makes, you know what I'm saying? Like we don't have that experience because of the accessibility or the lack of accessibility in plus size fashion. So we have just relied upon reviews, conversations, education, social media to give us that feedback. And so if I have that knowledge, I'm going to share it.
Yep. I was trying to remember what brought me to the Curvy Fashionista originally. And there were two things I can remember. My niece trying to find a prom dress. She was 17 years old and curvy. And the other thing is, I remember specifically spending a lot of time looking for bras for me, bras that were cute, that were not just matronly and beige and full of like wires and hooks. And I remember spending a lot of time on the Curvy Fashionista looking for those two things way back, way back.
Yeah, that was, I think it had to be way back when I probably was like one of the first brands I found was like Elomi lingerie. And lingerie. They were one of the first brands that I found that did editorial photo shoots of plus size women in bra and panties that were like beautiful bras. Like she was on a train car and she was just like, and I'm like, okay, girl, like, I don't know what situation is happening here, but like, yes.
It was so rare back then.
Right. It was so rare. And so that's why I featured these brands, and their editorials because it gave another perspective or it gave a perspective in plus size fashion that we just never got a chance to see ourselves in that way.
And I've really seen it, change over time. I'm curious, what are your thoughts on fast fashion for plus size folks?
So it's like, how do you say, a double-edged sword, right? Because society culturally has like prioritized this need for fast fashion. There's been a lack of the explanation of why certain things were like, the importance and the value of a slip, right? Why was a slip created or, or pantyhose with control top, like all of those reasons why they were there have been removed. And it's more about like doing what you want and feeling how you want to feel because those were seen as constructs or they were seen as like tools of like adhering to society, cult societies, whatever. But it served a purpose in how your clothes wore on your body. And that's what's kind of been missing. And so when it comes to fast fashion, I'm a fabric snob. I need things to sit like to feel good on me. And it's funny because I also need my things to last for a while and be able to be worn a couple of different ways and a couple of different styles depending on my mood. And so when it comes to fast fashion, it's frustrating because oftentimes it's the only available last minute option. Because when you think about fast fashion, rest in peace, Forever 21. Like they were one of the only, one of the few places you could go when you needed something, especially if you was trying to be cute with your girlfriends or go on a date or need something for whatever reason that you could go to. It was one of the only few places. We don't have an express version of for plus size fashion, right? We don't have Lane Bryant and Torrid exist, but they are so few and far between in terms of physical locations. Lane Bryant pulled out of all the malls. Torrid sits right next to them at all these strip places. So it's like, it makes it really challenging. And then on top of everything else, like if Lane Bryant and Torrid ain't your style, like you're screwed. So
Right.
sometimes fast fashion has solved a need where they found a lot of like the contemporary, better fashion brands were missing for this plus size consumer. And while it's smart, like from a business standpoint, it's like frustrating because you still have folks like me. I still want nice shit. I don't want to have to feel like the only way I'm going to get me a structured kick-ass blazer with some strategic cutouts or a dope-ass midi skirt that like, whatever those pieces are, like I have to settle for. And so that is why it's like so important for me. Like we are always trying to lift up, celebrate, and highlight indie designers because they're the ones who are giving us that they're innovating. Oftentimes they're copied by these fast fashion brands. Like it's really important for me to make sure that I'm supporting that innovation, supporting the brands that are giving us the all those pieces I've just named, right? Like they're giving us these things, that we want and need to really allow for our personalities to come through. Because we now have enough resources, but now it's a matter of style,
Yeah.
right? Now it's a matter of how do you define and curate your style from all of the options that are available. That is like the next foray I kind of see plus size fashion going into. I know
Interesting.
that wasn't your initial question, but that's it.
I think also, and I've said this several times on the show, we cannot hold it against fat people who have to buy fast fashion because sometimes that's all we have access to. Maybe someone only thing they have access to is Walmart. And also, there's like 2 places I can shop in person. Do I want to buy fast fashion? Of course I don't. But it's all there is for me sometimes. And so, and also it can be expensive to buy something besides fast fashion. I know it's terrible, but like I don't feel like I have a lot of options. If you're a size 4, I think you have more options. It's how it is.
It's frustrating too that like, okay, I want to, purchase something that's nice, or at least I think is going to last a little bit longer. So, okay, I go to a Lane Bryant or I go to a Torrid. Have you noticed that both of those brands, their clothes have just started to disintegrate? Like I'm sitting there thinking, okay, I'm paying $40 for a graphic t-shirt at Torrid where I could pay $6 through Shein and have, a graphic tee that's going to last probably just as long as the Torrid one. And I'm going to save $34, like it's wild to me.
I think that's more indicative of like the culture, like in totality, not specific to plus.
True.
When you think about like the supply chain disruptions that have happened over the past few years, when you think about like, yeah, there's going to be some changes. And I think even probably more so adamant or prevalent in these last few years than anything else, how we've noticed like the changes in how our clothes have worn or have fit. For me, because I am still a snob with things, like for example, this jumpsuit that I'm wearing that technically will like sit off the shoulder like this, like if I wanted to wear it strapless and just be like all Southern Cali, cute, or I can just wear it like here, just basic, like for me, it gives me options. But the fabric is divine. I love it. Like it's so easy breezy, especially in Southern California. What next week is supposed to be over 80 degrees. And I'm like, she needs to breathe. I need to breathe. Right. And so that is why fabric is important for me. Right. But I think it's also why I don't mind and I understand the need to invest a little bit more in fabric and invest a little bit more in what I'm wearing, because I'm not driving all over the place or searching all over the web for like 10 of these. I need to know where I got it and it's good for at least 5 years. I don't have the time. I don't have the patience
Nope.
to search and scour multiple times. Like, because God forbid, like I have a jumpsuit from 11 on array that I just know will never come back. And I'm like onto that.
True that. I can't even think about how many different, like, specific items that I've just had to take in and be like, "Please stitch this up like it's the only one that's, like, this material and this cut," and oh, yeah, I feel that.
I
Oh,
mean,
yes.
having to take it, or if you don't want it stitched, you're taking it to your uh just dry cleaner, the
Seamstress.
tailor at the dry cleaner, the seamstress
Or
at the dry
alterations.
cleaner, alterations, whatever. That person at the dry cleaner, they're the ones who do all that extraness. Like having to have that conversation with them. But even that is like removed, right? Like that becomes something to talk about because a lot of plus size women, they're still just learning their measurements, just learning. Oh, your calf is 17 inches wide, or oh, you're wearing a 9-inch, or you need a size 9 ring or a size 10 ring. Oh, or oh, you need your waist is 42 inches. Oh, you know what I'm saying? Like just understanding their body is such a new concept.
Marcy Cruz is the one who finally got through to me, Crystal. Always know your measurements. Keep them on your phone. When you're ordering online, you're shopping online, or you're out somewhere, have your measurements in here. And she even gave me like the extra long tape measure. Thank you, Marcy Cruz, because she's so right. When you don't have the information, you can't make good decisions. There she is. That's the one. Extra long.
I
Yep.
keep it right here at my desk because when I see
Smart.
something I need to understand, I
Yep.
measure it.
Yeah, you got to know your upper arms, your calves, your ankles, everything. So, Marie, why is it so difficult to get the designers to make sizes 26 and higher? Do we know?
I think it's a mixture of both industry and lack of understanding or lack of resource, because, or maybe either lack of resource or lack of care, right? Because one, the industry was like going up to a 3X. That's what it used to that's just what it was, right? The girls, we started pushing back, being like, no, include more sizes. We got like a 4X and maybe a 5, right? Then you had these startups come out the gate like a universal standard or a good American and come out the gate all the way up through a 5X. And they said, say something. Then you started having indie designers carrying 4Xs and 5Xs. Then you have someone like Loud Bodies, who is hella sustainable. They carry up to a size 10X. Okay. And so you now have these brands that are giving us these options. You even have Alpine Butterfly, a swim brand. I think it's like up to a 5 or a 6. Like Alpine Butterfly Swim has like gorgeous pieces that are nothing but plus size women, right? So when you have these brands that just don't cater or carry up to a plus, or even let's just say a full plus size range, because they'll be like, oh, we're size inclusive, and they'll do an XXL, and we're like, sis, that's not it. Like that's a whole different size chart than plus. So there's a lack of knowledge, right? So they're thinking that they're doing something, not knowing what really. So they haven't put in the research, and it was like a easy cash grab, right? It kind of lends itself to think it's an easy cash grab, right? But then you have those who are spending a lot of time and research, because you hear it from plus models, right? Plus models that have gone in to fit for a new brand that's trying to pretend to test and play in plus, and you're like, okay, so when's it coming? You're ready, like, okay, let's go. There have been so many different brands that I've known from just like I've heard from different models who have used them as fit models, as test models. So half of it is like ignorance, whether willful or intentional. And then you have like the sizeism of it all, right? And then, I was just having this funny kind of thought last week, especially with all the news around Forever 21 and its bankruptcy. And I'm like, it's funny. Forever 21 and what's their name? Express? Was it Express? That went bankrupt too? That filed for bankruptcy too? Yeah, it was Express. Like both brands who dabbled in plus, but didn't respond to the way that the plus size community had asked them to. And by the time that they finally decided to play in plus, it was like towards the end of their demise, right? It was like a last ditch effort. And I find it to be quite frustrating and also telling. Like, so these brands recognize that there's money to be had here, but only in their, what do you call it, darkest hour do they decide, oh, let's play with some plus girls. And when they realize, oh, it's too little too late, they don't really have the resources to fully support or engage with us. I'm like, girl, bye.
I've never heard of Loud Bodies, but how come you say they go up to 10x? How come a company like that can make it happen and others can't?
Because they're an indie brand.
Okay.
They're not boggled down by the bureaucracy or the nuance. They're also proudly sustainable and proudly ethical source, right? So when you learn about some of these brands and what they stand for and how they choose to engage this space, I mean, same thing goes for Selkie. Selkie goes up to a 6X. Even though they don't have plus size models, I love you, Selkie, but I need for you to get some plus size girls on your site. But like, they encourage and feature and celebrate. They at least put them on the runway. I will say that they put the plus girls on the runway. Selkie, good for you. But like, there is and you can sit with us kind of an energy that a lot of other brands just do not give, and that's prevalent with like what they choose or choose not to do in sizes. I mean, think about it. Lane Bryant didn't extend their sizes until they lost Catherine's.
That was like 2 years ago when they finally went up to size 40, right?
Something like that. And it's still not full on in their size, and it's full on in their, you know what I'm saying? It's not fully integrated, but at least, you know what I'm saying? Like, I remember being like, so when are we going to see size ranges, girls?
Yeah. It's crazy. Just also, we are the majority. So people over size 18.
Right?
Yeah, it is.
You have the perception of plus size women lazy, stupid, slow, not
Stinky.
Smart, like all these negative things, right? Why would you create clothing to encourage, you know what I'm saying? Like to these, the sizism folks are very stuck in this limited mindset, in this very narrow mindset of what a plus size woman could be. Yes, we've had our breakout in our Lizzos and our Yasults and our Michelle, but like, and even Queen Latifah. But again, it's still few and far between. It's not a regular occurrence, and not for a brand to be like, wait a minute, let me like wake up. I mean, because DVF worked with 11 on Array and expanding some of their sizes, but DVF didn't change. Working with them, they didn't be like, oh, this is an opportunity. Them dresses are $300 each for a wrap dress.
Yikes.
Okay, a wrap dress that will last you for fucking ever.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like they could have introduced, but even with their partnership with that brand, you know what I'm saying? Like they didn't take it further. But you know who did? Tanya Taylor.
Oh yeah.
Tanya Taylor goes up to, I think, a 24, 26. And she's a contemporary, I want to say a little bit more like preppy. type of designer. She's got her Lex fits. It's very, I'm in the Hamptons and I'm living life kind of energy. But like for the plus size woman who's living life and is in the Hamptons, Tanya Taylor needs to be her best friend, but she will only know if she's being marketed to.
Never even heard of her.
But that's why
Yeah.
I'm here.
I know. Thankful for you. That's for sure.
Okay, what would you say are your top 3 brands?
Personally, so I would have to say it'd be City Chic. Their cuts just really fit me. Like, I don't have a lot of hips. I don't got hips at all. And their dresses, like especially the strapless ones, come with soft boning, which is like a perk and a feature that you don't get in a lot of plus size clothing pieces. And it's also like lightly lined. It comes lined. Go figure, right? So like I appreciate the level of quality for like a contemporary-ish price, right? So they're City Chic. You said 3. This is so hard. This is like picking my favorite kids. I would have to go for like Jabri because I love the innovation and the styling and the excitement that she brings. Like I have pieces that I've had since like 2009 that are still in my closet. And
Wow.
I refuse to let go of them because they still wear very well. And that's like a testament just to the, like that's why it's important to like support because you can have a closet that works for you, right? That speaks to your aesthetic, your style, your needs. So another designer who is like, I have yet to get my hands on a piece of clothing, but I'm completely obsessed about everything they drop, is a designer out of Canada called Hillary McMillan. She goes up to a 4X and so like 0 through a 4X. And she's giving me the suiting. She's giving me the attitude, the like the elevation, the sophistication, the polish that speaks to my personal desire, my personal style of aesthetic, right? She speaks to me. I think Eloquy speaks to me too, but it's kind of up and down, right? And certain things or certain seasons speak to me or certain pieces will versus like a whole collection. But I think I kind of liken like an express. If Eloquy were to have stores, I could see them sitting right next to an express and being like your plus size girlfriend or the plus size answer. I think I am a Virgo, so I dress for my moods. So for me to have like my top 3 is really challenging because Eloquy is that one of those brands. But then I love finding the nuance and the excitement of indie designers like Bacall, like by Cynthia Bailey. And she's giving me a 100% silk wrap maxi dress, right? And my body is just breathing and like floating and I'm feeling all the, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm feeling myself and I got cleavage sitting good. But then I've got some whimsicalness in Santi Grace she's got a sheer tulle like maxi dress that I could play in. You know what I'm saying? So it's I think the beauty of style right now in plus size fashion is learning to develop it with the resources and options we have. Like it's really challenging for me to just list 3 because it depends on my mood.
Who are you wearing right now?
I want to communicate, but the fact that I can find a brand or a resource that I can go to help me communicate with what I need, that's the comfort.
Who makes your beautiful eggplant colored jumpsuit that you're wearing right now?
Girl, it is a fast fashion brand, and I've had this sucker for like it's called LIVD. I've
Never
had
heard of
them
it.
for I think like 5 years
Wow.
or so. And she washes well. She hasn't faded.
Good.
Like none of the things are like, and I'm like, okay, this is like, this is surprising, right? Especially when you think about from a fast fashion brand.
Sure.
Because, their stuff is not really made to last. But this one, oh yeah, she's been living. Me and her are besties, especially here in Southern California.
Marie, did I read somewhere that Universal Standard is going to be available at a retailer that we all shop with? I need to look that up. I just remember reading something. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Maybe it's just going to be here in the Bay Area, but I'll check it out and see if I can find more
You'll have to
information
send
about
it to me because I want to know what
Yeah.
you're talking
Hmm. Yeah. They do a lot of those
about. I don't know
pop-up
if I know that.
shops.
They do a lot of pop-up shops, yeah.
Yeah. What kind of shoes do you wear? What size do you wear, first of all? I'm like a 10
So
wide.
I'm a 10.
Okay.
And so, which I guess sometimes like I'm a 9.5 wide in
Yeah.
like some of the plus size brands. But you asked me what I wear, and so I'm totally a house body, right? I'm a homebody, so I don't go very many places. But when I do, like I'm in my Skechers because I was dealing with like plantar fasciitis, and so I needed that support on my heels. Amen. And that became my go-to. And then I found like these really great, like those uh shoes that are like boots. Like they're like slip you could slip them on and they're like boots or whatever and they're like fur lined. Those are my favorite. However, when it comes to heels, when it comes to dressier shoes, some of my favorite actually come from City Chic.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, because I can wear them all day and not get irritated or not be frustrated about the Velcro coming off or like the pitch, which is the angle that your foot is hitting the sole, like the angle of your foot. That's the pitch, y'all. Like driving me insane on like an inch heel, right? And I'm like, what the hell is happening? I'm in an inch heel. Why is my foot hurting? So but like I love like Smash shoes. They have like really great boots, and I'm not even a full traditional wide width, or I find that sometimes wide width can be too wide for me. So I really appreciate Smash shoes because they give the style, high style, and they're like a Southern California based brand, indie brand, but they're carried in Macy's. And
Interesting.
they start at a size 10 or a 9 and go up to a size 14.
Shut up.
I know.
Wow.
And so I've been also playing around with like Dolce Vita because Dolce Vita has been going hard. Their plus size with their wide calf and wide width ranges and options. So if you like your like high fashion, like your on trend fashion options, like Dolce Vita is definitely a brand to check out. City Chic, I'm always checking for their boots, their sandals, their heels. I will always check for them. I'm like a forever fan of City Chic. Um, but they're like Australian based.
Oh, wow.
So like even yeah, right?
I was gonna say at FatCon, I never tried them, but both years when I was at FatCon, they had that brand Wider, WYDR. Murph, did you try any at FatCon?
I didn't try it at FatCon. I purchased a pair of like glossy black Mary Janes. Really nice. I've really it's true to size, so it's like legitimate. But it definitely felt like when you're walking on them, you're sturdy. You're not feeling yeah, you're
Good.
not having that like a baby deer,
Yeah.
but I only have the one type, so I don't know, compared to the others what they are, but I was impressed.
Have you tried them, Marie?
No, I actually haven't heard of them till you said something right now. So now I'm like, let me
Yeah.
go to their website and learn more.
I think they were a sponsor at FatCon because I think the fashion show, all the models were wearing shoes from Wider, WYDR. But yeah, I'd like to check them out. I've never tried any, but I feel like my feet are different sizes a little bit, so it's for me hard to find really comfortable shoes.
Interesting. I'm so curious. Like I'm gonna like dig in more into them. Thank you for enlightening me to them.
You would have so much fun at FatCon. They should hire you to be a speaker.
I'm available.
Yeah. It's middle of January next year, but it's in Seattle. It's gonna be at the same hotel as that this year. It was really nice.
I'm available. Like they just gotta be like, hey Marie.
I met Pucks through Tigress again. Tigress, of course. We should just have Tigress as a permanent guest on our show because we always bring her up. She's such an amazing resource, you know.
I just had her as a guest for my upcoming podcast.
Good, yeah, she's great. She makes a great guest. She always has so many interesting things to talk about and so much great detail and facts and links and all that. Like you know, it's a great resource.
She is. Adore.
Tell us a little bit about this new podcast, if you can.
Okay, yeah. So before the pandemic, during the pandemic, I started a Facebook Live series. I started this Facebook Live series because I was like, how can I show support to indie designers, indie businesses, folks in the plus size space, so people know what's going on, how they're navigating. So this Facebook Live series was called Speaking of Curves. And so I did that for like a year and some change. And then I kind of stopped using Facebook because it kind of got really weird during the pandemic. And so I kind of fell off of Facebook and I just kind of stopped. And last year, actually, I was challenged to do, to show up more and to find different ways that I could show up for the brand. And so, what if we have conversations with OD people in this space that talk about their journey, talk about their trials, their ways that they've conquered or they've succeeded in different spaces within the plus size community, so I don't have like all influencers. I don't have all models. I don't have all business owners. Like it's really a range of different folks who are seasoned in this space who have, put in what's the word? The time, the hours, the years, or whatever, so they can talk about their journey, right? So, especially as an entrepreneur, the funny part about a lot of this is like, a lot of us don't know what the hell we're doing. Like, it wasn't until for me, like in 2022, yeah, 2022, when I realized like everything that I thought I knew was like bullshit. And my whole slate was wiped clean. Like when I say wiped clean, like God, spirit, universe, ancestors, whomever you believe in, like came in and removed all the things. And for me, it forced me to have to like sit with myself and really be like, okay, what is TCF doing? What is TCF? What is the goal? What is the purpose of? And I really kind of found my groove in being in the space of servitude, being able to provide resource, provide information, to provide and to share stories, because there is no blueprint for half of the shit we do most of the time. And we're starting it because out of frustration that it doesn't exist, out of frustration that you can't find what you need. And then because you don't even know what the hell your doing's title is called, you don't even know what to go and how to research by to better on it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. Is that the word?
Right.
Oh, I'm a founder. Oh, I'm a CEO. Oh, wait. My thing was in 2023, I realized that like I had outgrown being a blog and I had grown into being a digital media publisher. I had no idea that's what the fuck the name was called.
You're the funniest.
Like I had tried to Google. I had tried to Google it in so many ways, and all Google gave me was social media shit.
Yep.
And I didn't know how to create a strategy. I didn't know how to properly plan. I was growing out, what do you call it? Organically. I was growing just like taking leaps of faith. I did not know the importance of creating a budget. I didn't know how to create a budget. I did not know how to create a budget considering all the things. Even when I started to try to pretend to create a budget, I had approached it all wrong.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Like I was like my mindset into it. So like once I went through an accelerator program, I went through a business boot camp, and then I had gotten ecosystem. So I can reach out to my other peers who are publishers and talk to them about how they're structuring things, how they're doing things, was I able to learn. So this is the 2.0
Good for
Phoenix
you.
rising from the ashes that I was
Yeah.
like referencing, Crystal.
Right. Yeah.
Because like, in order for me to get to, as I am like ascending into this next level of TCF, like I had to understand and learn a lot of the things that like there was no, when I started, when I went through in my MBA program, there was no social media, blogging, digital media publication types of courses, classes, there was no entrepreneurship courses.
You were on the bleeding edge, not the leading edge. You were bleeding.
Literally. So
Yeah.
I'm over here like not knowing what I didn't know. And unfortunately, and then on top of everything else as being an entrepreneur, I'm dealing with my own, like, how do you say, life trauma bullshit. So then that's seeping through because I don't know what I'm doing, right? Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
I was just saying, yeah, all of us, I think, are going through that same kind of shit right now.
Right. So I'm like navigating. And so once I was able to remove a lot of this shit and sit back and just like reflect and realize, like, damn, I didn't even know what I didn't know. And even if I knew it, I had to go through whatever process it was for me to learn how to feel comfortable with being able to call that specific thing out. Because there were times where I should have let go of folks on my team.
Yeah, that's
but
hard
like
part.
I was so worried about being liked versus respected or I was so worried about perception versus operation. Like my focuses were all off because I wasn't seeing this as a business. I was still in my hobby mode. I was still in my founder mode. I had to shift into being into my CEO mode.
You're in the master mode. You are master. You have mastered it.
No, I have not. I'm still in that process because here's the thing. I am now in the space of learning what it means to be a CEO. I am now comfortable with acknowledging myself as that. But like now I have to like put it to work. Right. So you can just like say something, but you have to be able to walk that walk too.
I see you teaching master classes on this, Marie.
I appreciate that and I receive that because I'm at a space where I'm literally trying to figure out where and how I could be most valuable to, upcoming entrepreneurs.
Think about all the people that you've influenced, and then a lot of us are always also business owners who need to take our business to the next level. I think you'd be a great coach to do that with.
Well, thank you for saying that.
I agree. That's fantastic. Oh, I think we could ask Marie probably a gazillion more questions regarding fashion and everything else. Yeah. So Marie, we need a 2.0 of this conversation as well.
I'm here for it.
But as you know, we ask every guest on our pod to share with us their favorite sex toy or sexual aid or something that makes them feel sexy and in the mood. So, what does that mean to you?
What does it mean or what is it?
What is it? Whichever one you want to answer. So, sex toy, sex aid, or we found that when we went to FatCon, we found that some folks didn't want to share their favorite sex toy, so we kind of made it a bit more inclusive.
I will. I have no problem. So Lilo, they're a little fancy. They're a little expensive.
They're bougie.
But I've had multiple conversations with my sister because I'm like, girl,
yes,
you need to look into this. That's one of them. And then there's this other one that were just introduced to me.
Oh, they're new to you.
They're new to me, but they look like jewelry. It looks like
like a pendant. Like a pendant.
You can wear, girl. You can wear it. Mm-hmm. I'm totally blanking on their name right now, and I feel kind of bad. But like, that is like also impressive to me. So for me, I'm all about like get your orgasm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Get your fix. Rub one out however you need to. Like I am pro orgasm.
Same.
Get it.
Absolutely.
And so those are my favorite. That's my favorite right now.
I love that those two brands are your favorite because I don't know you very well, but just from this conversation, like those two brands seem so like refined that it's just like, yes, those would be Marie's favorite toys. Like that just seems so cool.
The double sonic, the Lilo one? The Lilo
Yeah.
one is very refined.
Oh, Lilo, the brand is very refined.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
It's known as
fancy.
like, yeah.
Girl,
And then
'cause
the
when they emailed and sent the picture, I was like,
Mhm.
well, hello.
Hello, lover.
Right.
That's
Like,
right.
I know your name. So yeah, but like I think prior to that I would have to be like the womanizer, but she died on me.
I know that they might be coming out with a new version of that womanizer that they made for plus bodies that you have. They might be coming out with something very similar to that this year. We're close with them and we love all the womanizer products. So stay tuned.
Well, like holler, because like, she was my friend. And then she died.
Yeah.
And so when Lilo
Yeah.
said, hey girl, I was like, hey.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's all about that suction
I was
nowadays.
not being choosy.
The suction and the vibration together is heaven.
Mm-hmm. But that's my favorite.
Thanks for sharing with us, Marie. Tell all of our listeners, maybe some of them don't know you. I can't imagine that, but tell them where they can find you and where you're most active.
So for all things the Curvy Fashionista, you can find us on Instagram, Threads, Facebook at the Curvy Fashionista. So that's TheCurvyFashionista. Come on, like make sure I know how to spell. But that's the Curvy Fashionista. On Pinterest and on Twitter, we're at TCF Style. So T as in Tom, C as in Charlie, F as in Frank, STYLE. But you can follow me on all of those same platforms. You can always find me on Twitter. I'm very rarely on Instagram. But I'm at Marie Denee, MarieDenee. And you can say, hey girl, hey. And I'd be like, hey boo.
Hey,
You
babe.
tell them you found me here. And I'd be like, oh my God, hey friend. We'll be immediately besties.
Absolutely. So I'm trying to remember. Oh, I know. I was going to ask you. Could you share your website too? Because I think if you go to your website, they can sign up to get on your newsletter.
So so definitely make sure you follow. You visit us at thecurvyfashionista.com, and that is where you can always find the latest in fashion, wellness, travel, lifestyle, entertainment, all the things going on from a plus size perspective. So that's thecurvyfashionista.com. And while you're there, make sure you sign up for our newsletter so that you can never miss the latest that's what's going on with plus size fashion. So thecurvyfashionista.com is where you can sign up and subscribe, where you can follow us on our social media, and you can read all the fun articles of the latest in plus size fashion.
And it's really deep. Like you have a depth of history of lots of stuff out there that's been there for a while. It's really, really helpful, really useful, even still today.
So the fun nerd part of me is like, I'm literally each month by month having to go through and having to de-index or update or redirect because Google is now punishing us for having all of this content that hadn't been updated. So like instead of deleting these articles, trying to be really intentional on just de-indexing them. So you can still find them on the TCF site, but you may not find them when you search it on Google. So we don't get double penalized.
Yeah, things have changed a lot for the SEO world in the last 6 months or a year. It's Google's like, whoo, it's all changing. It's going to keep changing a lot. It seems like for the next year or so. So
that's that AI.
It's AI. Thanks to AI. Thank you so much, Marie. Murph, do you want to tell everybody how to find us and how to subscribe to us?
Yeah, you can visit our website, BigSexyChat.com. We are on all the socials at BigSexyChat. And then you can send us your thoughts, ideas, comments, love letters, and boob pictures. We talked about that previously. BigSexyChatPod@gmail.com.
Yes. Marie, always a delight to talk with you and so great to see your face, and I love your smile and just nice to see you. I know we go back a little ways and it's just so fun to catch up with you. So thank you. Again, thank you for all that you do for all of us too. I'm so grateful. And I'm grateful to Tigress for introducing us all those years ago.
My pleasure, honey. My pleasure.
Thank you. All right, y'all. Good night. See you later, alligator.
After a while, crocodile.
Be sweet, parakeet.